Hi class, so we reached the end. Here's our last class together. I decided to inject myself into the slides just to make it a little bit more personal because it is the end. And right now, some of you are close to graduation. You're probably going crazy trying to get everything done. So some of you may have seen this before, but here's a little of Dr. Cho's humor. And what do I call my original artwork? It's Steve Jobs tripping on acid. Anyway, one topic that came up that has to do with entrepreneurs is what kind of legacy do you want to create? And is legacy all that important? And so Dr. Cho has a number of different bodies of work. So, what legacy is important to me? One thing that's interesting is that MIT published its top 50 inventors of all time. What is their legacy? And so Ken Olsen, his legacy is he took a computer that took up a whole floor of a building and got it onto your desktop. And at one time, DEC was the second biggest computer company in the world behind IBM. And what happens? He made one mistake. Ken Olsen didn't believe that anybody will want a computer in their home. And that killed his company. Amar Bose, the speaker guy, one thing is you don't hear too much about Beats headsets anymore. And what happened is they got hammered by a lawsuit by Bose, and as it turns out he won. They copied his noise-canceling technology. And so now they're licensing it from him. But Bose, besides being awfully litigious, what Bose did is he donated a big chunk of stock to MIT. And so the condition is they can't use it to gain control of the company and they can't sell it. But what they do get is dividends off the stock. So what Bose did is he basically gave MIT a perpetual flow of cash. That's how much he thought of his alma mater. Salvador Luria had a very interesting... Now the thing is, you've never heard of these people, but they do have very interesting stories. Luria won the Nobel Prize in biology. And he's the one who's responsible for RNA and DNA coding, and not only that, but figuring out how to turn this into drugs. And Luria was an Italian Jew during World War II. He was actually running from the Nazis. And when the Nazis rolled over the border and he heard about it in France, he got on his bicycle, rode to Marseille and got travel passage to the United States. So he just got out of there one head of something really horrible. Alfred P. Sloan, the MIT Business School is named after him. He figured out the financing system, created colors for cars, and basically outperformed Henry Ford, which nobody talks about. Ravish, Shamir, and Adelman, what were they responsible for? Why should you care about them? They figured out encryption. They decided, hey, something? The internet's got to be safe. And so these were the guys who went ahead and did that. So does legacy matter? I mean, you don't remember any of these people, but they did great things that changed the world. There's only one little problem with technology. Somebody comes along and trumps you and does it better. So the thing is, legacy, it could be a weight and an anchor. Part of the reason why the USA is a miracle is because there was no legacy. I mean, lots of countries have tried to copy us, flopped. And the reason why they flopped is because they had hundreds and hundreds of years of legacy in the way they did things. And so they started with a fresh slate. So give yourself a fresh slate. The only thing that really matters is what you do right here and right now. Forget about your parents or other people or whatever. What is it that you want to do right here and right now? And so Dr. Cho thinks his biggest legacy is going to be donating hair. And actually, I've got about 2 more inches, and then I can do the next set. And I don't know if a third set in me. You students are giving me gray hair. But anyway, whatever you choose to go, when you reach the fork in the road, take it. In my other class, and here's just a last amusing story, we were talking about quantitative thinking. When you look at what you do as an entrepreneur, all your life experiences come into play. And one of the best experiences I had is we played a boatload of poker at MIT. And it's not so much the poker, but it got you into the mindset of thinking quantitatively, of looking at odds and picking the best choices. De Fermat and Pascal are the fathers of probability, and the reason why they started the entire field was basically they saw patterns and realized that there's an advantage in gambling in this, and so they devised their own mathematical models to predict it. The thing about Vegas is that all the games are rigged. Yes, the house always wins. But the interesting thing is some of the biggest margins is that innocent game Keno. Because you're just sitting there filling out cards while you're reading and all. You think it's innocuous. You're just losing a few dollars here and there. But everybody plays. And they make quite a bit of money off of it. But as you can see, at these low percentages, the way they make money is volume. They need to have you bet a lot. So given all that, can you, through quantitative decision making, beat the system? Well, in 1986, 4,000 physicists descended on Vegas. They got banned from Vegas, asked never to return. And the reason why is Vegas lost a lot of money. None of that is disputable. However, why did they lose a lot of money? They didn't play. The physicists were too logical. They knew the games were in favor of the house, so they didn't play. And think about all the overhead of discounted rooms and cheap meals and everything else they get you to play. And so, because they lost so much money, no hotel wanted them back. And they got kicked out of Vegas. Anyway, we are now at the end of the semester. One interesting thing I found in reading your book reports is a couple of you pointed out the need for humor as a manager. As you can imagine, Dr. Cho uses a lot of humor. We were just, I'm a Jersey guy. We were like busting on each other all the time. Too bad you're not in my other 482 class, because there are a couple of jokers in there that I kind of bust on every class, and everybody cracks up. And I say things, well, after thinking very hard about this, I'm thinking perhaps I'm doing the wrong thing. But after thinking it over, I've decided, is it me or is it you? And I've decided, it's you. But anyway, the other thing that makes your career is you make decisions. And so based on those decisions, that shapes your career. The last piece of advice I'll give you, and I'll attach the job hunting one, but I didn't really go through the lecture, but the best piece of advice I can give you about your career is you look out and you see all these people in their 40s and their 50s, and they're laid off, they have no prospects, they can't get the same type of job. And you feel for these poor people, and they sit around and wonder, how did all this happen? And I could tell you precisely how it happens. I had a friend of mine who got laid off, and he was a genius. I mean, I'll put it this way. After he finally left that company, went out and went to a startup and was very successful, and now he's retired. But he got laid off from HP 5 times, and he got rehired 5 times. And the funniest thing is he didn't mind, because he just took the severance package, and that was kind of his inconvenience fee. But he said, after the 5th time, I've had enough of this roller coaster, I'm getting off. But what he told me, and it's true, is every year, the problem with people is that your value only goes up to a certain level, and then your value is purely towards the company. The thing is, these people, just because you have seniority and you're a janitor, doesn't mean you should be paid $80,000 a year to be a janitor. But that's what happens to these people. And then they're disillusioned when they get laid off. But again, it's the value of the job has outstripped what they can do. So the best advice to protect yourself against being laid off and always be in demand is every year, take a minute and ask yourself, did I learn anything this year? If the answer is no, then it's time to go find another job, because you've stopped growing. The moment you stop growing, you make yourself a target. And that target is to get laid off and thrown out in the street. And that's the best piece of advice that he gave me that I now pass on to you. Anyway, ultimately in your life, it's your decisions that make or break you. I think that one of the funniest things that ever somebody said to me was when I was the maverick in a Fortune 500 company. And so one of my coworkers came up to me and said, I finally figured out why they haven't laid you off. I'm like, oh really, Rudy? Why haven't I been laid off? And he said, because they're scared to death that you're right. And that's what your decision making comes down to. Are you right or are you wrong? And that's going to make or break your career. Anyway, now that we are at the end of the semester, yes, it's that time, student evaluation time. Yeah, that's a picture of my grandson, and that's how I kind of feel right now about this. I mean, I totally can empathize with like ministers and priests and people like that. It's like they spend the whole sermon telling you not to be materialistic, and then at the end they have to go, oh, but can you please put something in the basket? Yeah, the dean says we have to say something to you, but yeah, I don't really, I don't even believe in student evaluations. I believe in student critiques, but not necessarily evaluations, and I think that's the direction I need to go in. But anyway, if you like the way this class was run or whatever, if you say something positive, they listen to that. If you didn't like this class and want to say something negative, they listen to that too. Although one thing is, I learned one very good lesson. Don't tell the people, if you want to get even with me, here's your chance. Oh, they were not shy about doing that. So anyway, check Blackboard for any missing grades, any errors that there are. So what's going to happen next, and this is my granddaughter. Yeah, she's kind of scary, isn't she? And she's really tiny too, but she's going to be the next president of the United States, mostly because she knows how to boss people around. Anyway, what's going to happen is your final reports are due on the 27th. I'm going to start grading on the 28th. I hope to have all my grading and grades in by the 29th. The reason why I'm rushing it is I know a lot of you are graduating, and you want to know what your economic status is. For those of you who have missed assignments or haven't turned in your book reports, I will take anything up to the 28th. However, if you are going to pass this class, you might get away with missing a couple of projects, but you cannot graduate, or I should say pass this class, without your book report and your final project in. So please get those in to me. And so I'll conclude this class by telling you, just because a class is over doesn't mean our relationship has to end here. Quite frankly, the most enjoyable part of this class was talking to all of you and getting to know you a little bit. This is what I hated about MIT, and I just despised it, and that's that you could never talk to a professor. It's like if you needed to talk to a professor, you hit this wall of graduate students, and then when you talk to the professor, he didn't have any time for you, and except for the humanities professors, which was wonderful because nobody cared about the humanities at MIT. So yeah, it was easy going in and talk to your English teacher. But anyway, that's why I came here to Poly. I came here to Poly for the simple reason is I wanted to work with students. And yeah, I got more than I bargained for, actually. But this is why I came to teach, and this is why I enjoy it. And actually, it's kind of funny. This is actually the first job in my entire life that if I won the Mega Millions, I wouldn't quit. All my other jobs, yeah, I think I would have walked. But this job, I just enjoy too much. And so the thing about the Poly School, this is why you come to ASU, is we'll always be here for you. I talk to our alumni all the time. I've actually had some of the alums over to my house for dinner. That's how close our relationships become in time. So if I can help you in any way, feel free to reach out to me. And so my door is always open to you. And regardless of what you need, so far I've written 8 letters for students for graduate school. All 8 have gotten in. But if you need help, just feel free to contact me. And so I wish you all the best of luck. If you have any questions this week, feel free to hit me up. And the one thing to remember about your journey, and this is the problem with doctoral students. Doctoral students just sit there and go, please, please, just let me finish my thesis. I just want to graduate. I just want to get out of here. And then they get out of school and they realize they've got more than half their life left to live. And it's like, well, what the hell do I do now? And so, more than legacy or anything else, this is the important thing to be as an entrepreneur. You have to enjoy the ride. So, don't forget to enjoy it. And good luck to all of you.